Hi there and welcome to this week's Ask EMBN show, where you guys get a chance to ask us any question related to e-bikes, whether it's product, places, or in fact anything to do with e-mountain bikes, and we'll attempt to answer the questions, or in fact you guys can get involved in helping to answer these questions. Michael Towler asks, when they say so many charges on a battery, do they mean every time it's charged or a full charge? Rocky Mountain recommends that you charge the battery at 80%, as above that, the charger is a trickle charge. Under that, it's a fast charge, which is more detrimental to the battery life. Most of my rides, I only get down to 70% and charge my bike every time. So what is the best?
So a battery cycle means basically any charge that makes it back to 100%. So if you used 10% and you had to charge it up 90% to make that 100, that would be a cycle, as would be if you use 1% and you use 99% of the battery, that would count as one cycle. So you're saying that you use only 30% on your ride. So that would obviously, if you do 3 rides, that's going to be 90% of your battery. So I'd probably go for that, using it 3 times, then charge it up that whole way, and you're back to 100%, and that would just be one charge rather than keep bumping it up.
Can I ask a question? So say you came in after a ride and you've used, say, most of your battery. Do you charge it fully back up, or do you not? Say you don't know whether you're going to go out, for maybe 2 weeks.
Right.
Do you charge it fully, or do you charge it maybe to 80%?
It says 60 to 70% is a prime storage if you're going to be leaving it. But if you're going to go out on the ride the next day, one thing that a lot of people forget to do is actually let the battery cool down. Sometimes riders get straight back and charge the battery straight back up, which isn't very good for them as well. So let it cool down, stick it back onto 100% if you are going to be using it over the next few days. But storage, 60 to 70% is a good way of storing the batteries. Nice, dry and cool, not like super cool or super hot, like us a battery. So
yeah, and Chris has actually done a video covering everything to do with batteries.
The heart of the e-bike is a battery. These things are great devices for storing a lot of energy in a small space. If looked after properly, these things can last a long, long time, but you need to take care of them on and off your bike. Today's video, we're going to be looking at all those tips and avoiding that expensive replacement.
Fargaz, is there a good protection for your spine? Some riders I know had some really nasty crashes with serious injuries. Well, there's lots up there. There's Dainese, there's Seven. Layat, Chris?
Yeah.
You're the man in the air. Talk us through it.
Yeah, obviously POC and Evoc as well do a lot of different spine protectors. And obviously it's something you really need to be thinking about if you've got a backpack on as well, especially if you're carrying a spare battery and tools. A lot of the backpacks should have a spine protector if you are putting a battery in there, just to be super careful on those crashes.
Quite nasty coming off with the battery.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of different options out there. Just have a good look online.
Yeah, the 33rd bit.
Yeah, 33rd bit. I've been looking into getting an e-bike to improve my fitness, but I'm worried that I'm too heavy for an e-bike. Currently 6'2" and 126 kilograms. I know that I'll have reduced range as a result, but am I too heavy for an e-bike?
Well, I guess there are limitations. I think some bikes do have weight restrictions on them, don't they? But I think it's come down to common sense, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, I think all the carbon models, definitely, I know like the lightweight Bulls bike and stuff have a limit on them, but I think if you were to stay with especially the hardcore bikes, Kenevo and big downhilly style bikes are designed to take those big impacts, it would be no different to having a heavier rider on there, but I don't think you're, not
I think the main thing is make sure you get the spring rate right on the bike. I mean, some air springs will deal with limitless weight, but yeah,
e-bikes as a whole tend to be a lot more better and more overbuilt than the standard bike as well, so you should be fine.
Menno Webelin, love your show, thanks Menno. I have a Haibike Full 7 LT8. I've converted the drivetrain to a 1x10 with a 32 chainring at the front. Every time it gets too wild, my chain comes off. What can I do? I see lots of you riding without a chain guide. My name is Menno Webeling.
So main things to check.
Menno Webeling.
Menno Webeling, like it. So the main things to do when you do a 2x to a 1x conversion is obviously chainring is really important. You have a narrow wide chainring, so the actual chainring holds onto the chain. On a standard chainring, it needs to shift between, so they're not as sharp, the teeth, and they're not as wide spacing, so the chain will easily fly off. Next thing is a clutch derailleur as well. Make sure you've got a clutch derailleur, because a standard derailleur will flap back and fro and it'll allow the chain to flap around, hence you losing your chain. So clutch, derailleur, chain length, and a narrow wide chainring is what you need for your bike.
Wise words, Chris, wise words. Wayne Carkey I've heard, Wayne, we've heard from you before.
Is it true the new Bosch motors are much quieter now? If so, what did they do or change?
I think you see a huge variation in all e-bike motors, whether it be Bosch, Yamaha, Bros, Shimano. I think it depends on the maintenance levels people are giving them, in terms of lubrication of the chain, cranks, all this kind of thing.
I think there was a slight bearing change or bearing seal change between the first generation and the second generation Bosch. So maybe that might be what you've picked up on.
Yeah, and that's a video we've actually covered on how to change that drive side bearing, because coming up now. We get a lot of concerns on the channel about buying second-hand e-bikes. At the same time, we get a lot of concerns about the longevity of e-bike motors. Well, today we're going to put all those worries at bay. I'm going to have a look at a very inexpensive way how to refresh your Bosch Performance Line CX motor.
Ion Metaless. Hi, I'm mechanically inclined and I have a bike I really like that I don't want to swap for an e-bike. Are there any issues with Bafang motors and other mid-drive conversion kits that I should be aware of?
I am mechanically inclined. I'm not mechanically inclined. But what I can tell you is that Bafang motors, they come in at a good price. Easy to fit. So, if you're thinking about doing that move over to e-mountain bikes, good thing to do.
Yeah.
I'd be careful about about battery management systems, and also bear in mind that if you do get a bolt-on motor onto your bike, there's going to be some ground clearance issues on there, and also it depends on the shape of your front triangle, or whether you've got a full suspension bike or not. Lots to think about. So we've actually done a show. Are bolt-on motors any good?
Yeah,
that was on a show, right?
Yeah, we've done that, and then there's the bolt-on motor fundamentals as well. We've done that one as well. So lots of info on bolt-on motors. One of the most frequently commented upon issues of e-bikes is the cost involved. So today, let's have a look at some of the alternative ways of converting your mountain bike to an e-bike by way of aftermarket mid-drive motors. That's it for this week's Ask EMBN. Don't forget, if you've got any questions related to e-mountain bikes, whether it be tyres, wheels, suspension, motors, geometry, let us know and I'm sure we will be able to answer. Or if not, I'm sure everyone involved in EMBN will contribute to answering your question. Yeah, if you've enjoyed today's show, be sure to subscribe to EMBN by clicking the globe in the middle of the screen. Drop us some comments in the box below. But if you guys want to stick around, we've got a Motors Fundamentals video. Check that one out.